MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host. Back east, producing, it's Jael, right, Goes?
Jael's in the house.
All right.
And he's challenged us.
Has he?
Said we better have a good show today.
All right. Well, we got a lot of pitchers in our bullpen, man. I mean, obviously our ace on the staff is Jumbo Josh, but as of late, you've heard from Gabby. She's Gabulous. Mm-hmm. You've heard from Andre the Giant, and this will be a new fella, Jael. So welcome, Jael. And we have a fun show here lined up for today. It's Thursday, May 30th, and we're going to be talking to a few guests. So let me line them up for you at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, 5:40 Pacific. Kevin Tiller, PFL heavyweight. Danny Castillo, the head coach of Team Alpha Male, will stop by at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And then we added somebody, Goes, late. Gilbert Melendez.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Normally, when you add someone, you text us.
Uh-huh.
So I don't usually look at that last updated one, especially after the rundown and all that. And I got burned the other day.
Right.
So now I look at it.
Yeah, Gilbert Melendez, also from the mean streets of Santa Ana. Boy, Santa Ana's bred a lot of tough hombres, haven't they?
Well, you got your Gilbert Melendez.
Yeah.
And who else? Who am I missing?
Just go along with it and go, yeah. We got to live up to this whole Santa Ana.
Well, Orange
thing,
County has it, but yeah. I mean, it's not anybody they would know because
Tito Ortiz technically is from Santa Ana, and he moved to Huntington Beach to get away from a gang. Remember he talked about that shooting that happened over there by Spanky's, isn't that what it was called? Mm-hmm. On Harbor?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's what they say.
I'm sure you've wandered in there once or twice.
Yeah, I stuck to the floor.
Also, Eddie Bravo was originally from Santa Ana. He wrestled at Santa Ana High, and then I think he moved to Santiago, which is kind of like border Garden Grove.
You know who else?
Eventually moved to L.A. Leslie Smith.
Yeah, Ian McCall.
There's a lot of people that are from the mean streets of Santa Ana, California.
Yeah.
So it'll be great to catch up.
They lost some cred when we left, though.
With Gilbert. Oh, of course. Yeah, I agree. Also, we'll be discussing the latest news in mixed martial arts, and of course, we start looking forward to some of the big events happening this summer. I'm already getting, I know Fight Week is officially Monday. It starts on Monday. So next Monday, I'll come in and go, it's Fight Week, folks, because UFC 238 is happening in Chicago on June 8th. So a week from this Saturday. But I'm already getting pumped up for it. And I think it was just that week off a little bit of, the UFC and Bellator and everybody just kind of relaxing for a few weeks. And so now I'm getting some wind in my sail.
Hey, congratulations to R.J. Clifford. He announced that he's going to be daddy.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Congratulations, yeah. And belated congrats to Luke Thomas as well. Him and his wife had a kid, I guess, about 2 weeks ago.
Very cool.
Yeah, so congratulations. The Fight Nation Channel 156 family keeps growing. On my way in, I was talking to Woody, another one of them bangers from Santa Ana.
Uh-huh.
He had his son Logan in the car. His son Logan and his favorite receiver, Malik. I've seen these guys play.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
On the football field, unstoppable. All right, these guys, they know what's up. And literally, if you go to a game, they're going to hook up for at least 3 TDs. It's really, really fun to watch. They have good chemistry. On the phone, they must have said, combined, 3.5 words to me the whole time. And I was on the phone literally for about 25 minutes, the whole drive in here.
So one of them was like, hi, George, and the other one was just hi?
There was a what's up, and then there was a sup. So there's the half.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a later and a later.
Wow.
And that was it. Yeah. So the next time I see Logan, there's not much I can do to the kid now. He's like 6'3", probably 200. Mm-hmm. So this is my last run, all right, at actually being able to physically, bag, put him like in a headlock or something, give him a noogie, an uncle. That's my godson. Give him like that uncle noogie, because one of those times when I do it, he's just pretty much just, I think, gravity. He'll probably stick his leg out, and I'll be doing a backflip into the pool or something like that, some judo toss. Oh, sorry, I didn't know how strong I was, because the boy just keeps growing. I mean, he's going to be like a Brady-esque, in my opinion, like Roethlisberger. And by that, I mean this. By that, I mean like 6'5", 6'6" is my guess.
Okay.
Just because I can tell how his brothers have grown, he's headed in that same direction. Yeah, but we gotta figure something out with this younger generation.
You don't have to roughhouse though. Here's what you do.
All right.
You show up with In and Out. Hey, everybody got In and Out. You give his burger, smush it a little bit. Just go, hey man, sorry, I accidentally sat on yours.
Have you ever seen these savages eat?
No.
They don't care, man. As long as there's 2 patties and
every
some bread.
kid has kryptonite, onions, pickles, whatever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, maybe I'll have to figure out if he's an onion guy.
But you gotta give him a subtle wink, one where he's kind of like, was he winking or was he not, so that he knows a message was sent.
You don't understand, Goes. When I used to go visit this family, and I walked through the door, maybe not Logan as much. His 2 older brothers are really close in age, Marcus and Lucas. When I walked through the door, I felt like Ric Flair. You might as well have put that music on. Dun, 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 because these kids would run.
You were like Santa,
Uncle George, you know what I mean? And the wife, who's my comadre, Trina, she'd be making dinner. Woody would be doing some bullshit in his office, and I would kind of have those play fights that you and Johnson used to have, you and Elvis Johnson, and just roughhousing and have a ton of. Now when I go in there, I just get a head nod from the 3.
Yeah, that's weak.
What's up? So I don't know if maybe they turned into these athletes that are now so exceptional at what they do. Well, I don't know about all that, but I think they're so exceptional at what they do. It's like that cool vibe, Less is better. So, but I'm gonna figure them out. You watch. I'm gonna figure them out. One day we'll be having like conversations and looking back.
Jael, how old are you?
24.
24. So this is the same fool you're talking about, right? Same age group or around there?
No. Logan's only a sophomore.
They're coming from the
probably
same.
Like 15, 16 or something.
They're cut from the same cloth, I think.
Jael,
that generation.
Maybe
How does
Jael
he
might have
crack
been.
through, Jael?
I mean, those younger kids are pretty weird. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
they're kind of weird.
Do you look at the
15,
generation
16-year-olds.
ahead of you and think you're kind of weird? I did that.
100%. 100%.
So how does George crack this cookie?
Man. The kids love the dances these days. You might have to.
You got a
get
Dougie
him
in there?
a dance battle.
Well, I got a really bad right knee.
You got a
so
dab or what?
There's no dancing on my part.
if you hit him with the dab, you're
I
definitely.
can only do the pogo on my left leg, just straight up and down. But there's
The sprain like Lisa Turtle?
huh?
The sprain like Lisa Turtle?
I
Remember
think
she
so.
did that?
Yeah. That's about it for me. No, but I'm gonna crack the code. You watch. Maybe that's what I need to do is show up with some In and Out and.
We're just not
kind of
cool
do
with
with
them.
the old days. I think that's what it is.
We're just not cool.
I need more flavor to the young guys. But you know what? It's already May. We're turning the page. It's going to be June. And guess what? Like literally, because now the high schools start like in August. So this is all I remember. When I was going to high school, Monday was Memorial Day, and Tuesday you went to school, right? And that Friday there was a game. That means the football players were already like camping from like August. I showed up in September of last year and I said, "Come on, let's start off a great season." I think I don't know if we were at Orange Lutheran or this high school in San Juan Capistrano, and they're like, "Man, we're like 2-1, we're 3-0 or whatever." We're like, "What?" The season starts literally like in early. Somehow the schools have just.
That's weird.
Yeah, they start a little bit early, and then the last game was like in October, like Halloween.
Huh.
Yeah, so remember, the varsities will continue because they have their playoffs, but like freshman and sophomore, they.
Not at my school.
Oh, wait a minute, Logan's actually on varsity now, so never mind. So now there can be an extended season, especially if he gets to the playoffs and everything. Yeah, your school wasn't a football powerhouse. Although I will say
wasn't
this,
bad.
I will say this goes. I don't think you know this, but the years that I went, Saddleback won a CIF title.
The years that you went to Mater Dei.
Yeah, maybe 2. And
I think
a lot of those players came from the Santa Ana Mighty Might Redskins. In fact, Santa Ana High School also won a CIF title.
Mean Streets,
so
baby.
A lot of those kids just went to different schools, and they had a good run.
We should ask Gilbert about that, because he's gone back to Santa Ana College a lot. They worship him there.
Santa Ana College?
Or
Santa Ana High School.
High school, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we will. He'll be on, later on in the show, but anyhow, it was fun doing a little memory lane with the guys there. Well, with Woody. He's the one that actually kept the conversation going with me. All right. So, did you hear about Jessica Andrade?
Yeah, gunpoint.
So, 2 days ago, she poses in the nude with her championship belt. She defeated Rose Namajunas a few weeks ago, and, she's just living it up, which a champion should do. And she had a provocative picture of her wearing the belt. The proper areas were covered up and everything, but man, it got tweeted and retweeted, and that's fine, man. She's just living it up. That's fine. And so when I saw her name again on the front page of Junkie, I was like, oh, what'd she do now? Another pose or what? She got held up at gunpoint in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Her and her fiance, or
her wife.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you something. I've been to Rio many times, and there's an area called Niterói, which is you cross a bridge, and it's kind of like a peninsula, I guess, a little bit. And so it's not far from Rio de Janeiro at all. You're talking like 30 minutes. Niterói is pretty nice. Niterói is pretty neat. Actually, that's where Ricardo Arona is from. But apparently she was driving, and they were in the car, and a couple guys came up with the guns, and they took the car, took the wallet, took some credit cards. They took her passport. She was supposed to come to the United States.
Phones.
In a few weeks. I didn't say phones? What did I say?
No, they took her phones.
The phones as well. And so luckily, nobody was hurt. Her and her wife are fine. They're all good. I'm sure they're shaken up, although who knows with fighters. Look, a gun's a whole different animal, but you know what I mean is like they fighters are just bred a little bit differently.
Man.
But still, who wants that to happen? You know what I mean? I'm sure she's shaken up one way or another. I guess they've already Tiago Okamoto's their manager, and Junkie was able to get some quotes, and apparently they're doing fine. But they just had to spend the whole day canceling credit cards, and I guess they'll have to figure out this whole passport deal.
You and John Morgan, have both said that you feel safe when you're there. But I've heard way too many stories of things of this level with good, like, soccer players too have been held at gunpoint like that. I don't know that I'm really wanting to go to Rio.
How many stories have you heard?
Okay, Roberto Carlos was one. I think Ronaldo, the fatter one, I believe he was held up too. Jessica Andrade. Our buddy that comes in every once in a while, the manager, he's told like 4 or 5 horrific stories.
No, he's told one.
The worst one? I've heard some pretty bad ones. Our cousin has told us some. It just seems like too many bad things happen.
Right. Okay, so my point is this. You've probably heard 10 stories. Is that fair? Sure. Shogun Hua got assaulted as well. And this is over the course of 10 years. So that's really like one bad thing per day. Now, granted, it's the people we know, but
it's
people
that you wouldn't expect. Like
at 11 p.m., put on the local Las Vegas news and watch what you hear there, too. I mean, just bad stuff kind of happens everywhere. And that's why Jessica went out of her way to say, I'm not moving. I'm staying here. But it's just that when we talk to people, I guess that's one of the things that's going to come up, about Rio de Janeiro, that, especially if we lead them in the questioning, hey, is it dangerous? I mean, they're going to tell you, there's certain parts where it is. But going back to it, I guess what you were asking, when I've been there, I guess I have my head on a swivel. It helps that I have our cousin there. He's kind of alerted to it a little bit as well. And, we were usually like in safer areas. A couple times, especially the first trip, I remember being in areas where something bad could have happened. I did see a couple kids run by some tourists once and just boom, yank a chain and run. And the guys were like in flip-flops, like typical gringo, like Hawaiian shirt, flip-flops, and you ain't gonna catch some kid, you know what I mean? He was gone, dude.
Yeah, at least launch that flip-flop though.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So, it's I don't think it's like any other city. I think Rio de Janeiro has like 10 million.
Gotta break some guys.
10 million people,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't feel like anything different from like LA or Las Vegas to me. All right. We got to take a quick break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll be talking about some of these fight announcements that have been announced by the UFC and Bellator.
Put excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
Tonight at 9 Eastern, it's Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors. The Warriors call is on NBA Radio Sirius 207 and XM86. The Toronto call is on Channel 167. The national feed is on Channel 80. Plus, the NBA Finals are streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers.
Hear this song?
Go Toronto!
This song that's playing right now is what we'd be playing if Trey from Boys in the Hood was studying for a math exam. And
That's spot on.
And he like skipped a few days, so he's got a cram.
Yeah.
This would be playing as he's like drinking Coke or something.
We're almost 20 minutes into the show. You've yet to say anything about the shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, from Galley? Cool.
I'm
Man.
a long
Dude,
time
you're on
Lakers fan.
top of shirts. I was going to wear my Holland jersey, and I just forgot. When Boss. Yeah, and then the other day you had one too where I was like, fuck, why didn't I wear mine? You are on top of it.
Well, I had a Gilbert Melendez shirt as well, but I figured this one's on the phone, and he's fighting in Las Vegas. So when he comes, I'll make sure to rock it. In fact, I think Jason Lackey got that for me as a gift. And the other day, I was kind of, you know how you noticed that I've kind of been moving stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a Lehigh Valley shirt, so tribute to Sam All Jam. This one, is a gift from Gally from Toronto. And when he gave it to me, I just remember going, yeah, yay, But I was thinking, boy, I couldn't be a bigger Lakers fan, and I just didn't know when I would rock a Raptors T-shirt. But I'm feeling those guys, man. Like,
you just want Golden State to lose, don't you?
That too. I want Golden State to lose, but that city looks like they're hungry for a title, and they deserve a title. Like, that's right. I'll wear the gift that Gally gave me. It's not going to get any better than today because, if G-State gets up to a 2-0 lead, what am I going to do? Game 3, down 0-2, wear it?
Speaking of the NBA, Rick Mahorn will join us tomorrow.
That's right. Rick Mahorn, from former bad boy. He's probably still a bad boy. But the Detroit Pistons back in the 80s, they were called the bad boys. Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Dennis Rodman. And Rick Mahorn will be on the show tomorrow so we can talk a little bit about the NBA Finals.
Damn, you know what would have been cool?
Beg your pardon?
Would have been cool?
What's that?
Bill Laimbeer's here every day. We should drag his ass in here.
Yeah. He knows a thing or two about fighting. He's thrown some punches.
Oh,
yeah. All right, listen. Yesterday's news, we got a chance to talk about it real quick. She's one of the biggest names in the sport, and that's Cris Cyborg. Cris Cyborg is back. She's going to be fighting Felicia Spencer at UFC 240 on July 27th. This is the co-main event on that fight card up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The main event is Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. So I thought that was a great addition to the card because Felicia looked great against Megan Anderson. She called out Cris respectfully. Cris was anxious. She's been wanting to fight. She hasn't fought much lately. And now we got ourselves a fight. You see how it works, folks? You see how it is, younger fighters? You ask for something, and there's a good chance you may get it if it lines up. Felicia Spencer going into the Megan Anderson fight, if she were to say prior to that fight, I'm going to fight Megan, beat her, and then take on Cris, right away people would say, slow down, and say, you got Megan Anderson, a former Invicta champion in front of you, and then you want Cris. But then all of a sudden she goes out there, performs, looks great. When she's talking, we're all listening. And that's what happened in 24 hours from the time when, before she walked into that octagon to when she got the job done to, all of a sudden doing the call out, it made a little bit more sense. That little platform you have after a fight is so important.
To be fair, though, the division's not that deep, right? There weren't that many options. Careful who you call out, though, because Cris Cyborg, she doesn't have very many combat losses, right? In combat sports, she definitely don't have them back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would be nervous about a regular Cris Cyborg match, I would be extra nervous about her coming off of a loss.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Make no mistake.
It's a hungry lion.
Yeah. Now, listen, we have some audio from MMA Tonight, and this is Misha Tate, one of the hosts, former UFC and Strikeforce bantamweight champ. She chimes in on this topic.
Against Cyborg, who has some serious experience, who is going to be more motivated than ever. If I could say anything about Cyborg, getting a loss, I think she is going to be looking to make a statement why she deserves that rematch. She's pissed that she's not getting the rematch, so she's going to take it out on Felicia Spencer. What else can I say? Who else is there at 145? Really nobody. So I guess this is the fight to make. I just be careful. Yeah, that goes back to the be careful what you wish for, and if Felicia proves me wrong, I will happily eat my words right now saying that I just don't think this is a good matchup for her.
Allow me to ask you a question.
Sure.
What do you think would do more for Felicia Spencer? Hang in there with Cyborg. Obviously beating her would be the best case scenario, but hang in there in a good fight with Cyborg but lose, or just beat a lesser opponent a victory? I think losing to Cyborg. What I'm trying to say is it took a lot of guts to take this type of matchup, and
right.
I don't know that a lot of people would have done it. But I think in the long run, it's actually going to work out for her.
All right, so let me ask you this. When would you want to fight Cyborg? When she's been fighting continuously for the last few years, or one fight in the last 16 months coming off a loss?
Continuously.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm just going to hope that she's burnt out. I'm going to hope that she's taking me lightly.
That's a good point. All right.
But coming off of a loss.
Off a loss, she's going to be hungry.
Hell no.
For sure. But there's a lot of fighters that also come off with doubts. And I guess more than anything, I was getting to the ring rust part.
Mm-hmm.
But Felicia has a big payoff. There's a lot of reward for the risk she's taking. Yeah, she could go out there and just get mopped up. That's what Chris Cyborg does. But imagine if Felicia can catch her to take out Megan and Cyborg right away. I mean, those are two skins on your wall. And then what do you got, man? I mean,
your reward.
Amanda Nunes is now going to pretty much have to fight you or concentrate just on bantamweight and give up that belt. You know what I mean?
It's a horrible world to have to defeat Chris Cyborg to get a title fight, to have to fight a champion. When has that world ever existed? That is a nightmare. You're telling me my reward after I beat Chris Cyborg is I got to fight Amanda Nunes next?
I know. Well, that's the fight game pretty much. But at least I didn't have to tell you, you got to fight A, you got to fight B, you got to fight C, you got to fight D, you got to fight E and F and G. Oh, and then Chris Cyborg followed by Amanda. And that's how
true.
It is in other divisions. Other divisions are so stacked that you got to go through a gauntlet. The ladies' divisions, some of them are rather shallow. And so you can have these big fights right away. Hey, either way, she earned it. She's 7-0, and she beat a quality opponent in Megan Anderson. A couple other fight bookings here. Andre Feely will be fighting Shaman Marias at UFC Sacramento. That takes place on July 13th. Yeah, all right. Featherweights. I've seen them both. Exciting fighters.
Good styles.
Yeah,
good
that's going to be a
fights.
fun fight to watch. But unfortunately, the common fan will be like, who? I think I've heard of Feely, but who's the other guy? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Feely's out of the Team Alpha Male squad, and they're based in Sacramento, so that booking makes sense.
Shaman came to fight in his last fight.
Yeah. Charlie Ward and Justin Moore has been added to the Bellator London lineup. That fight, Bellator is returning to London next month. Those guys have really spread their wings over there in the UK and in Europe. Then you also got Olivier Aubin-Mercier versus Armin Sarukian at UFC 240 in Edmonton. All right. I mean, I know he's a Canadian, and I know he's pretty tough. 7-4 overall. Sorry, in the UFC, 11-4 overall. Tsukrian is 13-2 overall, but he's 0-1 in the UFC.
Sure, you didn't read the EDC lineup? Sounds like two DJs.
It does sound like two DJs. Ashley Evans Smith, who currently lives in Santa Ana. I don't think we can say she's from there, but I think she technically lives there. She faces Tayla Santos at UFC on ESPN Plus 14 in Uruguay.
I think it was Boss Rudin that said on yesterday's show, how many times have the female fights stolen the show? And
he's right.
Ashley Evans Smith is fun to watch. Like, you got to look out for some of these these fights that we mentioned, like Shaman Marias and Andre Feely. That's not probably going to be on the main card, I don't think, but it's going to be fun. It's a great matchup when you think about their styles.
You want to hear some bad news now?
No.
Ilir Latifi is injured. He is out of his fight versus Volkan Ozdemir. That's the UFC Stockholm card that takes place this Saturday. So that's a bummer because those are two solid light heavyweights, and that division obviously just needs a little bit of movement, and those are two fighters that have been doing it for a while. Ozdemir's 3-3 in the UFC, 15-4 overall. Latifi 7-4 in the UFC, 14-6. Those two needed it more than anything, but apparently there was a back injury, and that's why Latifi is out. That card is headlined by Alexander Gustafsson. He's taking on Anthony Smith. So, bummer, right?
Anthony Smith has got me sold on that fight, George. When I turned in my staff picks, I was kind of like, I feel like Anthony Smith can do it. I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident hearing him speak.
Mm-hmm. Going back to yesterday, Aspen Ladd. I must go back to the ladies for a second. Aspen Ladd and Jermaine Durandamy. They're going to face off in Sacramento as well. Durandamy is the original UFC featherweight champion. Also a policewoman in the Netherlands. And she's facing the undefeated Aspen Ladd out of Sacramento. Quick turnaround for Aspen Ladd. Aspen Ladd just recently got a win. So she's staying busy, and I think this is a good fight for her, and it's in her hometown. So
she's young. That's what she needs. She needs to stay busy. Just keep on it. Keep on it.
Mm-hmm. Going back to Brazil, remember the ex-champ over there at Bellator for the bantamweights, Eduardo Dantas?
Yeah.
He moved up to featherweight now. He's facing Juan Archuleta at Bellator 222 in New York, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. And by the way, that fight card has gotten a little bit of a shift. It turns out Rory McDonald and Neiman Gracie, they're now the main event. Chael Sonnen and Lyoto Machida, they're now the co-main event.
It should be that way. I get why it was the other way to start, but I think they were right in their decision.
Other two are the poster. Oh, my God, Chael Sonnen versus Lyoto Machida. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then Rory versus Neiman Gracie. I mean, that Gracie name still carries weight, and Rory's put in his time. He's a champ. I get it. But if you think about it, yeah, it did make sense. Because I think we treated it more like, well, it's a semifinal Grand Prix. No, every time the champ fights, he's actually putting his belt up as well. So it's a title fight along with being a semifinal Grand Prix. And once you get past that, you're facing Douglas Lima in the finals for $1 million. So that's a massive fight, especially, well, for both guys, but especially for Neiman Gracie. He gets to be champ, and he gets to fight for $1 million in his next fight, along with that nice, shiny Grand Prix belt. Mm-hmm. So that could be massive for him. Yeah. Yesterday there was some news there with Yoel Romero and the tainted supplement lawsuit awarded. I'm just going to say it casually. He won $27 million in damages. That just doesn't happen in this sport when we toss around a number like that. $27 million is what a number 2 pitcher on a pitching staff makes in Major League Baseball or LeBron if he didn't want to take the whole max, you know. What was that? Oh, that was my laptop. Sorry. $27 million is a lot of money. $27.45 million, according to Romero's agent, Abraham Kawa, is what he gets. This is how it broke down. $3 million for lost wages, $3 million for reputable harm, $3 million for emotional damage. The damage is triple when a company is, quote, this is per the New Jersey Consumer Fraud Act, is found to have committed consumer fraud. $27 million. That's why the $9 million was tripled. So Yoel Romero, his name has been cleared of any wrongdoing from that failed drug test in 2016. So do you remember when Bisping was teasing him, you know, and everybody else was calling him a cheater? He said it was a tainted supplement. He had a lawsuit against Gold Star Performance Products, and now he won $27.45 million.
Do you know much about Gold Star?
That is nuts. No.
Okay, neither do I. And the reason I bring that up, because I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I'm hoping, because I like Yoel Romero and I'm rooting for him here, but I'm hoping this is a company that will be able to pay him that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're worth millions and they just take it on the chin and go, pay that man his money.
Yeah.
Because you're right, if it's one of those, I don't want to call it a startup, but just a company that isn't even worth that, then yeah, they'll close the doors and say, come and get it. Even though they know damn well there's no money to be had. Oh man, I'm happy for him. That's all I can say, is I'm just happy for the dude. But that is a large sum of money.
Kind of a lesson for everyone too, right? I'm not going to try and act like we weren't one of these people, but when you see these type of things pop up, you're so quick to just judge on that individual, and really you just have to let things play out.
Pretty much. Yeah. Greg Hardy, one last thing here. Greg Hardy, he of the Carolina Panthers and Dallas Cowboys, and now a mixed martial artist, he defeated Dmitry Smolyakov on April 27th. Smolyakov has now been cut. Smolyakov is, well, a few fighters kind of went through this. Smolyakov had a 4-fight run in the UFC. He went 1-3. It's just that he looked awful in this fight. Even UFC President Dana White criticized him. And so now he's gone.
Even if he found a way to win that fight, I think people would still be kind of saying, I don't know how long that's going to last, right?
Yeah, the UFC just needs to...
It was a bad performance.
They need to trim the roster every so often, and there's just going to be heads that roll. If you haven't heard, by the way, even Elias Theodorou, 16-3 overall, 8-3 in the UFC, he got cut. Just the way it is. All right.
It's rough.
We're going to take our next break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. When we come back, we'll be talking to Kevin Tiller, PFL heavyweight. He's got a big fight.
If you cross them, they will destroy you. Just ask Three Finger Eddie and Pete the Penguin. Who are they, you ask? My point exactly. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. This is MMA Junkie Radio.
You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio, live from the Race and Sportsbook here at the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino, where elegance and excitements meet on the Las Vegas Strip. 877-632-7000 for room reservations. Or follow them on their social media fronts of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them at Mandalay Bay. Let them know the boys from at MMA Junkie Radio sent you. That's where you get the best deals, honestly, is on their social media. All right, Goes. Here's the theme for the summer that is 2019. I'm going to throw a couple names your way, and then I'm going to tell you what they have in common. But I want you to tell me first who you think has the best chance of winning, all right? Junior Dos Santos.
Okay.
He's solid, right? He's a former champion, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Holly Holm.
Am I answering one by one, or
no. I'm gonna give you two more.
Oh, okay.
Donald Cerrone or Ricardo Lamas. All of those are ranked fighters. All of those are arguably top 10, some even as high as like top 3. But between the four, they're all.
One of those
there.
is a setup.
There's no setup.
Yeah.
All of these fighters are underdogs in their fights coming up.
But one of them we're having on tomorrow, so you know I ain't gonna say the other guy. So of the other three,
yeah, all right, just go with
here's
Holm,
the thing, man.
Dos Santos and Cerrone. I mean, Cerrone looked good in his last fight against Ali Aquinta said, I got my ass kicked. Junior Dos Santos is a former champion, so is Holly Holm, yet they're all pretty big underdogs, but they're all in big fights against Francis Ngannou, Amanda Nunes, and Tony Ferguson, respectively.
Holly Holm has been in one of the most horrific situations you could ever be in combat sports. Ronda Rousey was unbeatable. She was thrusted into that fight, and she overcame what was probably the largest mountain you would have to climb. She's done it once before. So I'd want to lean with her, but I'm actually going to go with Donald Cerrone.
You think he's got the best chance of winning out of those three?
I think he's peaking right now. He's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things. He's got Tony Ferguson,
who's
is
14-1 in the lightweight division.
True, but he's coming from a very bad situation that he's had.
All right.
And we hear about what fighters have to go through in a camp to be prepared for a fight. That's without all the distractions. He's had a lot of distractions. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be able to come in here and operate the night of the fight. You go back to that Pettis fight, and it was a great victory for Tony, but he took some shots. He took some lumps. And Donald can give out some lumps too. So I'm actually going to go with Donald Cerrone. But my number 2 would be Holly Holm.
Of the best chance to win.
Yeah.
So Junior Dos Santos, you're not giving them much love, huh?
The thing is, Junior...
Wait. Maybe I got it confused. You think Junior has the best chance to win, or you think Cerrone has the best chance to win?
Cerrone.
Of the three? All right, so you think Junior has...
So I think Cerrone does,
Gotcha.
then Holly, then I'll go with JDS.
Well, I thought for sure you'd say the heavyweights just because they hit so hard. All they have to do is just catch a punch somewhere, you know?
They do,
catch
but
them hands.
I don't know that Junior Dos Santos has the speed that Francis Ngannou's got. I've never seen a fighter really mix... he reminds me of what Mike Tyson used to do back in the day, and that's mix technique, power, and speed, and blend them all so well. When Francis throws, he throws from angles that you don't even imagine punches coming from, and that's tough. I mean, I don't know that JDS is gonna. He'd have to strike first. He'd have to come out guns a-blazing, and I don't know if that's the best game plan. Who you got? Am I being a fool?
I think the best chance to win out of all those three underdogs is Junior because he's got great hands. He's a good boxer. All right, for being a mixed martial artist, that's one of his strong points is his hands, his boxing, and the fact that they hit so hard, anything can happen. I feel like with Cerrone, wow. I mean, yeah, of course he's been knocked out before, but that's a dude you got to break down. Or sorry, with Ferguson, you got to break him down little by little, and it seems like he gets stronger as the fight goes. And then Amanda Nunes, boy, you talk about how great Chris Cyborg is. Amanda's the one that recently gave her a loss. Amanda's arguably the greatest of all time in women's MMA. So I see that as like the monumental task. Now, that said, Amanda likes to throw hands, and Holly Holm is a former boxing champion.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it's kind of more down her alley. Look, they're all big names because they're always in big, tough fights. So this is almost like a trick question because there's really not like a slam dunk answer here.
Right.
It's just an opinion that one has to give. How are we looking on breaks? We're good. We're all good on breaks, right?
One of those has got to lose, though. Don't you think? Whenever you have 4 big fights like that, one of them's going to lose.
Of the underdogs?
Yeah.
Or you mean the favorites?
Of the favorites. I believe that one of those 4 favorites will lose. And it's not so much against
what
them.
I've come to see, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just the way things
It's the way
work.
the sport is.
It's just the way it is.
At this level, it's just like here's an example. Walk into the Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook on a Sunday and go, okay, who are the favorites? -3, -7, -5, -4, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, 6 underdogs will not only cover, they'll win straight up. It's just unpredictable. It's as unpredictable as the NBA or as the NFL. It's really one of those. That's what MMA is kind of like. Best way I can put it. All right. Tell you what. Let's rearrange a few things here, and let's do the daily debate. Hit it, Jael.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's hashtag daily debate for at MMA Junkie Radio. Sorry, that's social media talk. What's your top criteria when picking a knockout of the month or year? So let me explain here. As MMA media, we often get these lists from one of our writers, Young Mike Bond, we call him. Hey guys, we got to pick the knockout of the month, the submission of the month, the fight of the month. But this happens on a lot of different websites. A lot of different people run their own polls on Twitter. And I got to thinking this question could apply to anybody, fans, media, whoever. And I wanted to know, what is your top criteria when picking a knockout of the month? Let's just isolate that. Forget about submission or fight of the night. Let's just worry about knockout. When that email arrives, goes in your inbox, and you look at it, and then there's a list of all the different knockouts. Like this past week, I think we had to pick from, remember Douglas Lima, how he caught Michael Venom Page?
Yeah.
Well, that was a knockout, but so was Rose Namajunas getting slammed by Jessica Andrade. That was another type of a knockout. There's Ramon Daniels. Remember it was like a spinning tornado Superman combo, whatever the hell he did over in Bellator. So here's your choices: viciousness, the talent of the losing fighter, or flashy/unique. Let me explain a little bit. Viciousness is self-explanatory. The talent of the losing fighter, by that, is, well, who'd you knock out? Because if you knocked out a former kickboxing champion, hell, or a boxing champion, you got to tip your hat to that person, because those are tougher to knock out than someone who's maybe a ground specialist who hasn't developed their hands. And then, of course, flashy and unique, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There is that drifting other that happens to be choice number D. If you have another criteria, throw that one out there. But what do you look for? What's your top criteria?
All right. For me, it's between 2 of them. The talent of the losing fighter. Because if you go in there and you KO me, who cares, right? Anyone can probably KO me at that level. But if you can do that over somebody that's never been KO'd before, or if you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you're KOing a knockout artist, to me that means more.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's between that, and it's between the flashy and unique technique. Flashy and unique, you're probably thinking of your spinning back fists, your flying knees.
Right.
Those
Something
look
where you
nice.
just go, holy cow, and you share it on Facebook and Twitter, and you're telling your buddies, can you believe what you just seen?
Those can be vicious KOs when they happen, but the fighter is also taking a tremendous risk in throwing them. Because if they don't land, they're usually going to be off balance or put in a bad situation. So you got to give your props to that. But I really think the number one criteria for me is going to be the talent of the other fighter.
The talent of the other fighter. Let me break this down. So if the other guy is just a world-class striker, that scores a lot of points in your votes for the person that actually KO'd them.
If this were Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and you told me I knocked out Glass Joe, cool. So has everybody else. If you told me you were knocking out Super Macho Man, Mr. Sandman, Mike Tyson, I'm going, really? Word? That's who you knocked out?
All right, what if some guy did a bunch of cartwheels all the way across the octagon, and then when he got there, he just went boop, like a little dumb jab, and he knocked out a world-class boxer?
All right, so instead of being that guy going, oh, shit,
would you
that's
be wowed
crazy,
by the flashiness
and
of
going
it
to
all?
the guy that did that, I'd probably be looking at the guy that got knocked out and went, how'd you get hit by that? He did a tornado like 5 times before he got to you. How'd you not see that coming?
I'm more drawn to viciousness a little bit.
Viciousness?
Just, well, look, I like them all right? But I think, first of all, the first thing I look at is actually the carcass. Oh, I shouldn't say that. The body of the fighter that's been fallen. You just look at him and you're like, oh, my God, is he or she going to be all right? And you're just holding your hand over your mouth because you appreciate the KO, but then you instantly think about that other person and their family and their friend. You want them to get up. So I think I'm always drawn to the viciousness a little bit first. But you're right. I get it. The viciousness over a flashy fighter is a lot better than the viciousness over somebody who's never even had their own KO.
When Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, nobody went, wow, what a crazy counter technique. They all went, holy shit, that's Jose Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
If there was going to be a knockout here, we thought of anything, it might be coming from that guy, especially that soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's the level of the guy that you did it to.
I think you have a good point. And it sucks because for once, I have Junkie Nation agreeing with me. I'm the top voter, or I'm with the top voters of 47% saying viciousness, but I really like the case he presented.
Thank you.
You came in last, though, 10%.
Did I really?
Well, second to last. 10% talent of the losing fighter.
Oh, wow.
41% said flashy and unique. 2% said other.
There are some things to other.
Name one.
Enemy territory.
Okay.
Right?
A little bit, yeah.
Think about how hard it was to win in Brazil at first.
Mm-hmm.
You show up there, and you get a knockout.
Let me give a shout-out here on a couple of the commenters here on the thread. Jaron Alexander, at Alexander Jaron, he says, Ramon Daniels' knockout is a good representation of the flashy, vicious knockout, but Lima KO on MVP was surprising because of the level of competition.
Great point.
But, in my opinion, Daniels wins. Maiku, at World's Worst Hero, says, combination of the three with viciousness getting the slight nod over number one. Let's do one more. Schmitty, 85, at N Schmitty, 85, says, unexpected or out of nowhere, or when fighter one is all but done, but then surprises everyone with the KO. That's pretty cool. Do you remember when, we'll always point back to this one fight, but when Mirsad Bektik got knocked out by Elkins?
Yeah.
That was, Elkins doesn't have like the
all
cleanest technique as a striker because he's more of a grappler. He's originally a wrestler. But the comeback and the fact that he put him out the way he did, that was as carnal as you can get. When I've been in an arena and I've just seen a bunch of people like lusting, over somebody getting KO'd, that was something. That's something I'll never forget. That was one of the best ever, and that's the only loss for Mirsad. Mirsad's awesome.
He's a beast.
That was a great win for Darren Elkins. Yep. All right, there you have it. There's today's Daily Debate brought to you by Goes and I. Now, we haven't been able to touch base with Kelvin Tiller, so we're going to maybe try and reroute him to a later portion of the show. And don't forget, you can always call into the show at any point in time. It's 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. Reach us on Twitter at MMA on SiriusXM. That Twitter handle works for all of the shows on our channel, like the Luke Thomas Show, Busted Open, At the Fights, and MMA Tonight, so you can connect with all the different hosts and producers that are on that show, on that Twitter handle. All right, right now, switching topics real quick. The NBA Finals are about to go. Who's going to win, Goes? Give me a prediction.
The whole thing or just this game?
Give me the game and the series.
This game, I'm actually going to go with the Toronto Raptors. Kawhi Leonard's on fire. He's been tough. He hasn't been getting the credit that he deserves for his defense. So I got them.
You got them
but for
the
series,
game.
no, for the series, I got the Golden State Warriors.
How? Or
7 games.
7 games?
Yeah.
So they're going to win Game 7 in Toronto because
Yeah.
Toronto holds the home court advantage. I looked it up, and I believe it's 2-2, 1-1-1. And I thought before it used to be 2-3-2, meaning 2 home games, 3 away games. They must have switched it back or something. Do you have an opinion on which one you like better?
I like 2-2, 1-1. Yeah, 1-1, and then back the other way.
1-1-1?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
don't like it. It's hard to win 3 games in a row, even if you're at home.
Yeah, I think I like that one better too. 2-2, 1-1-1. I think the
There's
reason
more
they did it
drama.
was because the travel sometimes. It's just basically start in Toronto, go to Golden State, fly back to Toronto. You're not going cross country back
Yeah.
and forth, but whatever.
Poor them.
I know, but you know what? Game 2 is Sunday. We have to wait 3 days.
Yeah, it's kind of long. Why do
Usually
we have to
it's
wait?
like Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, I don't know, Thursday, Saturday. I
Gotta be
guess.
that Champions League final. Huh?
Yeah, it's the top of the hour break coming up here. We'll be gone for 60 seconds. When we come back, we'll be talking to Danny Castillo, one of the head coaches out at Team Alpha Male. Also coming up later in the hour is Gilbert Melendez, former Strikeforce lightweight champion. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Turned for rating all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're ready to go now with our first guest. Or perhaps not. Perhaps maybe we should wait a little bit and just tell everybody about the fact that they're listening to MMA Junkie Radio Monday through Friday. Catch us 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific for 2 hours where we discuss mixed martial arts. And, yeah, look, I'm sure you heard us talk a little bit of boxing and pro wrestling and NBA.
We're only human.
We're only human. That's one. And 2, our studio faces the Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook. So we have these gigantic screens in front of us. We can't help but stare at them. I'm watching the Minnesota Twins, although they've been up to bat forever. How is it that they're losing 11-1 to Tampa Bay? I'm watching some tennis, some ladies tennis over here on the right-hand side, and then I see the Golden State Warriors getting ready to tip against the Toronto Raptors. All right, we're ready to go with Danny Castillo, one of the head coaches over at Team Alpha Male, former WEC and UFC lightweight. What's up, Danny? How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good. Are you stoked about the Warriors? You're a NorCal guy, right? That's your squad? Or are you Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, well, I grew up being a huge fan of Charles Barkley, so I was a Suns fan growing up, but now that I'm a business owner in Sacramento, I'm Sacramento proud, so I kind of switching my team over to the Kings now.
Hey, no shame in that.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
Danny, did I label you correctly? You're one of the head coaches at Team Alpha Male, right? Nobody's kind of really taken the reign, I guess.
Yeah, no, we have a bunch of different coaches, and we all kind of have different roles as a coaching staff, and yeah, I mean, there's not really a head coach.
Is it working? Do you guys like it that way, or do you think eventually you'll go back to having a head coach? I know at one point you had Ludwig. I know at one point you had Campman. Did you guys like it that way too?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first started fighting, we had Master Tong, and he barely spoke English, and he had a gambling problem, and the guy was freaking crazy as all hell. But everything started to work out. So, as far as like head coaches, like there's no head coach now, and I think right now what we have is working well. Each coach brings something different to the team, and I like it that way. We have Chris Holdsworth, who's a jiu-jitsu wizard, and he's probably one of the most. I mean, in my opinion, he probably would have been the best to ever come out of Alpha Male, and unfortunately, due to some injuries, he wasn't able to finish his professional career. So, kind of sucks, but we just keep pushing forward. He's a great coach. We also have Urijah Faber, who's out actually a coach, and I mean he's a legend in himself. He's a Hall of Famer. We have Joey Rodriguez, who's an amazing boxing coach. He came up under Ray Woods, and Ray Woods is Diego Corrales' dad. It just so happens to be one of my favorite boxers of all times. So we have Mike Malott, who's also just a student of the game. He was a great fighter while he was fighting, and he's just a student of the game, and he's always studying. He's got a nasty leg lock game. His jiu-jitsu game's great, and his stand-up game's great. And all together, we're just kind of filling in those holes and making sure the guys get the best of all worlds.
So I have a few other questions here, but I wanted to go off on a little tangent real fast because you brought up somebody's name who Goes and I know very well, because Chris Holdsworth lived in Vegas. We saw him fight at Tough Enough Amateurs, so we knew he was a huge prospect. And then he moved to Sacramento, and then his career was cut short, like you said. But that was pretty high praise. You said he was destined to maybe be one of the best, if not the best ever, coming out of Team Alpha Male. That's pretty cool to hear that, from you. And like I said, Goes and I have seen him fight. I think we've called his fights. But can you share with the audience just how special this dude was?
Well, I mean, we've had 2 world champions three world champions if you count Urijah, the WC champion, and then we had TJ Dillashaw, and we had Cody Nolov, and all 3 of those guys in their own are just phenomenal fighters, and I have nothing bad to say about them. Athletically, they're just some of the best fighters I've ever been around with, and I'm fortunate to be able to share the same mats and to be on the same team, and Chris is just a different. Man. When he was fighting, it was just crazy. I was just like, does this guy even smile? Does he even have fun? He was just so disciplined with his diet, so disciplined with his training. Wrote everything down, journaled everything, studied. He's on YouTube. I'm like, hey man, let's go out and have some fun. He's like, I'm probably gonna stay home, and who knows what he did? Probably watch some fucking Marcelo. Ooh, can I cuss?
Yeah, you're on Sirius XM, baby. No problem.
Oh, my bad. He probably, who knows what he did with his free time? Watching Marcelo Garcia, watching the greats, and it's really good to have him a part of the coaching staff. Because,
that's awesome.
Having him around, there's, between all the coaches, we'll be able to figure out any problem.
Yeah, I knew he was a stud, man, in the amateur ranks. Like I said, we saw him up close, and then as a pro, obviously he definitely handled himself. He did the reality show and everything, but yeah, the career was cut short. But to hear that he grew that much over there with you guys, that's great to hear, my man.
Yeah, and then you see him and you look at him and you're like, look at this guy, who's this? He doesn't look, he's so unassuming, he just looks like some just regular guy off the street. But, he's one of the baddest dudes that ever stepped foot on our mats.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear. All right. Danny, I want to ask you some questions here. I know that Twitter is a place where there's a lot of hate. These questions don't come from, like that. I'm also a fan and I wonder things. But I wanted you, that's why we're having you on, so you could set everything straight. Team Alpha Male's just kind of had like a shift in personnel. A few fighters have left, a few coaches have left. Right now, are you guys like, how do you feel about that? Like, are you guys in a bad spell? And a few fights have also been lost. So would you guys say it's just like a bad run, or how's the vibe of the gym? After all that, with Buchholz went one way, Calvillo recently left, Cody lost the fight to TJ, and then Asuncao. So tell me the vibe of the gym, because historically this has been a kick-ass gym, kick-ass team for a long time. Sorry,
Asuncao.
Who did I say? Sorry, Pedro Munoz.
You just said Asuncao.
Yeah, I apologize, Pedro Munoz.
No, it's all good. I knew this question was coming, and I went back and forth if I was actually going to do this interview, because I know this interview is always about, you're doing your job, you're doing what you need to do, but it's like I knew you're going to say next question is probably going to be about TJ. That's just the way it goes, and I'll answer him like, Buckles left, yeah, okay, he left, and Cynthia left. They left together. I mean, it wasn't just like one left. One got kicked off the coaching staff, and then the other one followed him, and that's it. Cody, Cody just got caught. He's an exciting fighter. That's the reason why you guys all tune in to see Cody fight. It doesn't matter who he's going to fight. You're gonna follow. You're gonna watch, because he's an exciting fighter.
He is. You're right.
And when that goes, you live by the sword. You die by the sword. Is Cody still one of the best fighters on the planet? Yes. Do I believe that? Yes. Do I believe that he'll be a world champion again? Yes. Yes, I really do believe that. And yeah, man. I mean, what else do you want me to say?
Well, here's what happens: is sometimes, you go across different forums or different websites or whatever, and you see different comments from like, "Oh, Team Alpha Male's done," and.
Bro, what are you trying to ask me?
No. So what I'm saying is, I can't really.
What I'm saying is just ask the question.
No. So I'm explaining why I'm asking you the question about just how would you categorize the team. Like, I want you to say, hey George, there's like 20 other dudes you haven't heard of. So right now it's growing at a different pace. Our record is 15-3. On different types of shows, because I think a lot of people are saying that the team just hasn't been doing as well as late, and I wanted to talk to one of the coaches. Rather than go on Twitter and assume like what's going on, I'd rather just ask one of the coaches, hey, what's going on with the team and all that.
You want to know how many times I've heard this throughout my career with the team? Probably about 6 or 7. And the fact of the matter is, teams, teams grow through things. And we grow. You lose a fighter, you lose a coach, we still grow. It's the same with work, with life. You have a girlfriend, you lose a girlfriend, you move on. That's the way it is. As far as the team, like, we've got all kinds of guys that are doing well. The only thing that about the social media and all that bullshit is you only hear the negative.
Right.
You don't hear about Josh Schmidt sleeping Michael Johnson. You don't hear about Andre Feely putting on the clinic against Miles Jury, one of the fucking seasoned vets. All you hear is just about all that drama and bullshit, and I try to keep myself away from that.
Yeah, I understand.
And moving forward, we got a stacked card in Sacramento. We got 7 guys on the card.
I saw that, man. That's cool.
6 guys and one girl. And my stress and my focus isn't on any of that. My focus is on making sure we win every one of those fights, and that's what it is as a coach, And I've been in the game a long time, like 12 years. And I've been dealing with all this stuff, the social media, and I understand that. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just super annoying. And then I have to go into practice, and I have to be more motivating, and like. The guys read that stuff, and the guys see all that negative stuff, and they come into practice, and my job is to make sure they know that they're getting the best technique, and they're still a part of one of the best teams on the planet. Because regardless, it doesn't matter if we don't have a belt or not. It doesn't matter if Cody lost a fight. It doesn't matter if Cynthia left. It doesn't matter if Justin Buckles left. Guys are still trying to come to this. We got guys coming from China, guys coming from Europe to come train with us on our mats. Cool. We've been one of the best teams on the planet. I mean, you may not think that, the audience may not think that, but Team Alpha Males, I mean, you tell me when we haven't had a guy winning.
Hell yeah, man. You guys are beasts, and you have been beasts for a long time. I remember all the way back to WEC through WEC got absorbed. Well, we're going on 10 years, so that's literally like about 15 years of Team Alpha Male being one of the strongest teams out there. Danny Castillo is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's one of the co-head coaches at Team Alpha Male. And let me turn it over to Goes here. Goes, what do you have for Danny Castillo?
So, Danny, on a night like that where you have multiple fighters fighting on one card, you've been on the side as a fighter, but on the side as a coach. I would imagine that, say 6 of them win, but 1 loses. Can you still, like, at the end of the night when you rest your head down, does it feel good that you won more than you lost, or does that one loss, like, can it drive you crazy as a coach?
It's hard to celebrate when you have 6 guys riding the highs and you have 1 guy in the lows, and only because I've been there. I've been on the card where I've had, I believe it was Joseph Benavidez and Chad, them win, and then I came up short. I totally understand that, and that's why I feel like I'm one of the better coaches on the planet, because I understand that I can connect with these guys. For me to be able to celebrate 6 wins and 1 loss, yes. Definitely it's good for the team. It's good for the morale of the team moving on to Monday, because that's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's moving on. Like, we keep going on. So we have 6 wins, 1 loss. We move into Monday because there's still 20 guys on the mats getting ready for fights. Amateur, on the lower shows, all that stuff, getting ready for UFC fights, getting ready for Bellator fights. It's moving forward. And Monday, coming into the gym, it's just like we did really well, and these are the things that we did wrong. And these are the things that we need to make changes on in the gym and just keep the morale up. And that's what it is, like, I'm a coach, but at the same time I'm a motivator also. I get in there, and we've had weekends where we've lost 3 fights, on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we've had weekends where we've won 4 fights. I think it was 2 weekends ago. We had 3 guys on the Combates card, or 2 guys on the Combates card. We had a guy on the LFL. We had Tyler Diamond. And we had 1 kid, Chris Gonzalez, on the Bellator card. We won 4-0. We went 5-0 that weekend. We don't hear about that. It's when we lose, that's when we hear about it. And that's my job, to go in there and lead the pack and tell them that this is how it's going to be. This is how it's always going to be. It doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. We're still going to get this. So it's up to you guys to keep it going and to keep the room motivated, because we live off of each other. We feed off of each other. We work off of each other.
Yesterday we had Boss Rudin in studio, and George was wearing a Pride shirt, an old school Pride shirt. And we were talking about, we were able to see Pride here in America, but we never went to see it in Japan. And it was kind of something that it's like a bucket list type thing in mixed martial arts. Switching over to Urijah Faber, I got to imagine that when a legend like that retires, there's a lot of people that went, damn it, I've always wanted to see that guy fight live, and I missed out. Well, now he's back. And now that he's back, that flow that's in the gym, the new fighters that haven't really been around to train with Urijah when he's been getting ready for a fight, what does that do for them? Is that something like a little extra cool and a little extra special around the gym for the newcomers?
Yeah, man, there's definitely a huge buzz in the gym and a new kind of energy, because you have a guy who's, a lot of these guys that grew up watching Urijah, a lot of guys like, I remember watching Urijah when I was like 12 years old, 15 years old. Now here I am fighting, and, I'm gracing the mats with him, and he's just a coach, and now he's gearing up, man. He sparred on Wednesday. Wednesday's their sparring day, and he geared up, and I'm just kind of looking around, and everyone's just like, I can't explain it. Everyone's just kind of like, shocked, like, what's going on? And then you get in there, and then, you could tell that they're not letting loose, and all of a sudden Urijah just nails them, and then they just start opening up. That's how it is. You play how it is until your opponent or to your sparring partner starts to open up. You go as hard as your sparring partner goes, and Urijah's trying to win this fight. So he's trying to get those rounds in. He's trying to get those reps in. And, if you're just sitting there watching him at all, you're going to get punched in the mouth. And that's what happened on Wednesday. He caught a couple guys that were just working footwork, and then all of a sudden it turned into a fight, and it was fun to watch. It's great to see Urijah back on the mats, man. I'm excited for his return, and I'm very confident in his return, and I'm confident in the team. I feel like we have the ability to win all of those fights.
When did you know he was coming back? You're one of his tightest homies. Did this decision catch you off guard, or is this something that you knew just by maybe watching him, or or maybe he confided in you? I don't know, but did you have a head start on everyone else as far as knowing, he'll be fighting sometime soon?
Well, the crazy thing is, since he's retired, I've retired also, and I've taken a break of it. It's been a lot for me. I just needed a break from it. I've needed a break from the stress and the training. I just needed my body to recover. But for him, since the day he retired, I wouldn't say he's training like full out, but he definitely showed up to, 3 of the jiu-jitsu practices. Wasn't really doing MMA, so to speak, but he was still training. So I had no idea, because that's just Urijah. He never stopped training.
Oh, okay.
So it was like it was hard to even know that he was coming back. I just thought it was just Urijah doing Urijah. It was, instead of run miles, he rather roll jiu-jitsu and have fun. So for me, I like to swing kettlebells. I like to run. I like to do all kinds of other stuff. And he's the opposite. So I had no idea. But as soon as I heard that the Sacramento card was coming, and obviously, we know the cards are coming before the general public knows, I had a feeling that he was going to come back.
Danny, you were talking about the stressors that come with mixed martial arts, and I was thinking about it as you were saying it, because I was thinking, all right, you left the stress of training camps and the actual fights, and wins and losses are, a lot of people have success and failures, but not in front of millions of people, and you guys have to go through that. But then when you went away from that for a little bit, just did the fighting career, opening up businesses are it's the biggest stress can come for most people. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the stressors?
Yeah. I mean, it's completely different. If I take an L in the studio, or I lose a ton of members, or my landlord raises the rent, it's something I can deal with. Like in MMA, it's completely different. You go in there and you have a fight. You fight your heart off. You fight your heart out. It's up to 3 judges that control your destiny, and those are 3 judges that know anything about MMA. I mean, let's keep it real. Some of these judges are boxing judges. Like, they have no idea what's going on. So it's in business, if you have a great business plan, anything that, you can kind of deal with the things that come come with it. I can anticipate a growth in in January, because it's the end of the year. Everyone makes these New Year's resolutions. They want to get fit, so I can anticipate a growth. But I can also just anticipate the loss of members. It could be upwards to 8%, 10% of members that came in January that I lose. So being that I've been in business for, it'll be 6 years. It's been 6 years this month that I've been in business. I kind of see these types of things. In MMA, you never see these types of things. So it's just all different. So completely different. But I work just as hard as I did in MMA in the business world, and it's not anything that's easy. It's not because I have a business that's doing well that I don't have to work as hard. Like, I still work hard every day. The only thing is I really enjoy what I do. So, the saying is, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So that's how I feel. And even with the team, I show up to practice, and it's not really work. It's something that I get to do. It's not something I have to do. It's something I look forward to. After every MMA card that happens, I'm watching it, I'm studying it. And if I see something, I take it into the room and I give them examples. And for them, they get to look at me, and that I fought 22 times in the big show. So I came across different situations, and I can tell them firsthand, like, this happened. If you don't believe me, go watch the fucking fight. It's right there in your hand. So being able to tell the guys that, and being able to watch a fight and bring it back into the gym for the guys is a lot, and I believe it gives them confidence to train harder and to succeed, because, man, I gave it everything in my career. I trained super hard, and all those guys know that. The guys that saw me training realize that. So, when I'm telling them that you're not working hard enough, they understand.
Are you 100% retired?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you officially kind of decide that was it? I know for a while it was just taking a break, but when did you decide, yeah, I'm done?
After my last fight.
Oh, okay. Oh, for some reason I thought you were just taking a break, or
no, I never made like a formal announcement. I mean, who cares if I made a formal announcement or not? I mean, no one gives a shit about that. I just never came out in the public and said that.
Don't underestimate it, man. I've seen a lot of fighters that have made formal announcements, and they get a lot of love from their peers, the media, the fans. I know, like you said, social media can be rough.
I wouldn't make an announcement just so people could be like, no, don't retire, come back. Like, I love watching you fight. Like, that's not what it is about me. I mean, for me, it wasn't fun anymore.
I see.
And once it wasn't fun, once it became a job, I knew it was time to retire. I mean, what's the point?
Well,
what's the point? I'm not going to force anything.
We're anxious to see your growth, your continual growth as a head coach. It's fun watching you guys in the corner there for the Team Alpha Male that's been so successful for so many years. And now Urijah Faber's back on the saddle. And I know, from having gone there, that you guys probably have at least 50 pros, I imagine. Maybe a lot of young guns that we haven't heard of. So we look forward to the next run of fighters from Team Alpha Male. And I want to thank you very much for doing this catch-up with us.
Of course. We got Urijah, we got Josh Emmett, Darren Elkins, Sarah McMahon's coming back. She just had a baby. So I'm really excited about her return. Andre Feely, he's surging right now. He looks the best I've ever seen him, and I'm really excited to see his performance. Not to say I'm not about the other ones, but, I have a soft spot for Andre. I mean, Benito Lopez, too. Like, I'm waiting to see how he bounces back from his loss. Excited to see his return. I mean, he had a tough fight against a guy that came in overweight, 5 pounds, I think it was, and, wasn't able to pull it out. But he's back in the gym. He's hungry. And it's exciting. As a coach, it's exciting to see those guys, like, hungry to come back, because I've been there.
Yeah.
Also, Ping. Ping's over from China. He's got a fight over there. Like, no one really talks about him being a part of the team, but he's been with us for the last 3 camps, and he's awesome, man. I'm excited to see those guys fight. So it's not just Urijah. We have 7 guys on the card, and we're coming in there, and we're going to go to the Golden One, and we're going to take it by storm, and I'm excited. I'm confident that we win 7 of those fights, all 7.
Right on. All right, last call. Thanks so much for the time. Always great to catch up with you.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it. And if you're ever in Vegas, let us know. We'd love to have you back in studio.
Always.
Okay. See you, Danny. All right, there you go. One of the head coaches at Team Alpha Male, former WEC and UFC standout, a veteran of 22 fights on the big show. Follow him on Twitter at LastCall155. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to former Strikeforce lightweight champion Gilbert Melendez.
Those are some of the best chicks I know. Hey, here we go with more verbal sparring. Take it away, ladies.
Lady Gaga will perform for SiriusXM and Pandora at Harlem's world-famous Apollo Theater to celebrate the two companies coming together as one. The Apollo will be filled with SiriusXM and Pandora listeners, and we are giving away one lucky fan and a guest a trip to the show and front row tickets. Official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Gaga. Do that before June 17th. No additional purchase is necessary to enter or to win. All right, joining us now on the hotline is former Strikeforce lightweight champion and current UFC lightweight and featherweight Gilbert Melendez. El Nino's in the house. What's up? How you doing, Gilbert?
What's up, guys? Doing really well. It's good to be back on with you guys, and just training, getting ready for a fight.
Yeah, I should have said current UFC lightweight, featherweight, and also submission underground participant. Saw you doing some grappling there a few weeks ago.
I did, man. I think the last few months, maybe more than that, since January, competition's been on my mind, and I've been trying to, figure out the right time to fight, right location, right opponent. And during that time, some things weren't falling in place. And, of course, my boy Chael Sonnen hit me up with the opportunity to grapple. And I figured it was a way to stay busy. I've been putting some work in. I wanted to apply it. And to walk down the aisle again, step into a cage in front of an audience and hear the screams a little, it was a good little practice run, before stepping into the octagon. And I really enjoyed it.
Yep, UFC 239. It's been announced. Gilbert Melendez will be facing Arnold Allen, and you're staying as a featherweight, right?
Looks like it. Looks like featherweight's the weight for me. It's definitely a challenge to cut weight, always. But I think with the smart diet, being tactical with it, I should be fine. It's just about discipline, and I think I'll be good right there.
We haven't seen you. Well, by the time you fight, it will have been about 2 years. Why the delays? Did this circle? I know we've had you on the show before, and you pointed to the legs after the Stevens fight. But was it more than that, or was it just that, or what led to this longer layoff?
To be honest, I think it was a little more than that. It was a little more on just really reassessing everything, for me as a fighter and why I'm doing it and how I'm feeling while doing it. And after that fight, it definitely didn't sit well, the performance, taking kicks that way and getting hurt that way. And I didn't really tell anybody, but I thought to myself, maybe, we tried the life of not a fighter. Let's try to, stay away from the mat. This is, I'm not enjoying this job anymore, or it's something I used to really enjoy, and it's now more of a job, and I'm more going through the process of getting up, training. I'm doing it all, but I'm just not loving it the same way. So I try to take some time off the mat and try to live that life a little bit. But of course, I kept going back to the mat, kept training, and eventually got hungry, and just reassessed everything and not really looking at this like a job for this camp. I'm looking at it as a blessing to be able to be out there and compete and do something I love, and to do something to challenge myself and to make sure I really enjoy the experience and the ride, for this fight. So I think my mindset's really changed, and I'm motivated. I'm having fun. I'm excited. I feel like I got something to let out there, and something to show. I know I've proven a lot. I've proven everything I need to prove in the sport. It's not about proving anything. It's just about, for myself, is just going back out there and competing and loving it and enjoying the whole process and walking out the aisle. And of course there's nerves and all that, but just enjoying it like I used to. And so far that's how it's been in my training camp, and that's how I'm going to handle it this whole training camp, and how I'm going to handle my fight.
Our last guest, Danny Castillo, literally told us the same thing. He said it was fun, but when the fun ran out and it kind of became a job, I just knew that I wanted to, maybe exit the sport. We literally just had him on right before you, and almost verbatim, you're kind of saying similar things. So he's officially retired. His teammate Urijah Faber is making a comeback, but he says, nope, I've been retired, and he said he knew it after his last fight. Here's what's confusing to me, Gilbert, is you guys, and you and Danny, and pretty much when I say that, it's a blanket statement to all fighters, You guys used to fight for like $500 and a beer tab in your first fight, or maybe $1,000 if you were lucky, or maybe there were the others that walked into better salaries. And you would do it like 3, 4, 6, 7 times a year. You know what I mean? And now when the money's really good, or at least compared to like what it was, so 80 and 80, 150 and 150, 200 to show, whatever. Now all of a sudden everyone fights just once or twice a year. Not everyone. There's like Cowboy Cerrone who cashes checks all the time, but there's just some that kind of hang back. And I'm thinking, wow, I would think that maybe they would still want to, if the body can hold up, still just go out there and keep busy and stack those checks. You know, take us through your whole 15, 20-year journey of when the money was super important and when it wasn't, and when you even thought about it. You know, because fighters call themselves prize fighters.
Yeah, you're right, and you nailed it on there. I think everyone has their own journey with it. You're right, it started at the beginning, traveling to Japan, 5, 6, 7 fights deep, with Jake Shields. No one even knew of the sport, making a few $1,000, but nothing to, like, set you up financially. Still had to work and teach classes, and just did it for pure love and competition and just the rush and the thrill. And somewhere along the way, like I said, it did become a job, and there were bigger paychecks. You had to become a businessman. It wasn't just fighting. It's the entertainment business, the fight business. It's all the stuff that goes along with it that makes it no more of a hobby or a leisure, enjoyable activity, and it's just a job. And the mindset of a job, going to work and going through the motions, can be shitty sometimes, and if that's how you have it, and I think for a minute, it just I got tired. I had a lot of mileage on my body, and I was going through the motions, putting it in, but my mindset was I was just going to work. And I don't think that's the right mindset to have going into a fight camp or being a fighter. And I had to reassess that, and I took some time off, and when I said I was going to come back here, I'm not coming here to do work. I'm coming here to challenge myself, to enjoy my life, and to really test myself and go in there and fight someone on a huge stage. Of course, I'm going to collect my paycheck. You better believe it. Mm-hmm. But my mentality is to enjoy the ride here. And I think that's what's important. And I think it's sometimes hard to find. And
okay. Former Strikeforce and WEC lightweight champ Gilbert Melendez here on the hotline. He's just signed on to fight Arnold Allen at UFC 239. All right, it looks like he may have dropped, so we're going to reconnect with him. How are we looking on the breaks, boys? Should we take a quick one here while we reconnect? Do we have one left?
I think we're done with him, right? Huh.
Okay,
but
hold on.
Sounds like we can do it anyway.
Maybe we'll get him on real quick. He
said a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I came in with certain questions that I wanted to ask, and now they're all revamped.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Gilbert's back on. Go ahead, Gils.
Gil, you there?
What's up, guys?
Right.
I'm here. Yeah, so I got cut off. But the moral of the story is to enjoy the ride, right? Enjoy the ride and enjoy the blessing and the opportunity I have here to taste some more greatness, to challenge myself, to level up. Win or lose, I feel leveled up, regardless. And, I have some stuff in the tank that I want to let out, and it's time to do it.
Gil, I've always wanted to ask this of a fighter. And I think you're the perfect guy because I know you're going to tell me the truth. You've kind of settled into 145 here, but most of your career has been at 155. When a fighter figures that out and they say, okay, I feel the best here, it sucks, I got to diet a little bit, but I'm feeling good. How do you look back at the time at 155? Does a fighter look back at that as, I made the wrong decision, I should have been a 145er that whole time? Or can you just appreciate both, what you did at 155 and what you did at 145?
I appreciate both. I started off at 145, and I moved up to 55 because there was no room for 145. That's how long I've been in the sport. There was a time at 155s when there was no 155s in the UFC no more. They had Eve Edwards fight Josh Thompson for a UFC title that was never given out. And I think Eve's won that time, and they just got rid of the weight class. I don't know, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. But I've been in the sport that long. I was a 45-pounder at that time, fighting in Shudo. And, and I was looking to go up to 55, because there was really nothing at 45s eventually, until I went to Pride, Then Pride had 160 pounds. So I just acclimated at acclimated at 160 pounds in Pride, and I had to cut no weight. I walk around at 161, 163, maybe go on a jog outside in Japan and go make weight over there. Eventually they reintroduced 155 to the UFC, during that whole transaction when they bought out Pride and everything like that. I just went where there was the action, and that's where it was. But as the sport evolves, I think people are cutting more weight, and I'm not saying that they're being unhealthy with it. I think the science has got better, and there's just some monsters in some weight classes. And if you're fighting top level 155ers, they're huge. Maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 down there. I don't know. Other fighters, they may have some size, but may have some holes. But when you have a guy who knows how to cut weight accordingly, size of Nate Diaz and some of these other big guys out there, Tony Ferguson. There's some big cats out there who got it down good, and there's some really big cats at 145 that have it down good. I think the sport's evolved with the diet, and I think I figured some of that out too, where I can maximize my size with the weight, and I think I'm going to be even better at it this time.
Gil, I've seen you at UFC events, or just MMA events in general, and you get swarmed. People want your autograph, people want your picture. But there was a time where when you fought in Pride, you were still the beast, right? You'd go out there, you'd perform, you'd be busting heads around, and then you would come home, and really only like the hardcore people would know who you were, right? Because you have to stay up late for Pride fights and that sort of stuff. Which one do you prefer? When you came over to the UFC, becoming more popular, people recognizing you, or back in Pride, still kind of being that beast, but having a little bit more of a chill life?
Yeah, good question. That's a good question. I've never really been thirsty for fame, but I've always, desired respect amongst my peers, amongst people like you guys who know the sport and respect the sport, and that have a platform to talk about. I've always wanted that respect, so that was always most important. At the events, it's fun to be a part of the events, and I'm okay with interacting with the fans. I love it, and every so often, I get recognized here and there when I'm out and about, and it feels good. It feels good to get that, but I don't know. I'm just enjoying the ride for what it is. I don't even know if I like the way it was. I like the way it is. I've enjoyed both, and I try not to think about it. There's nothing really I can think about it, or nothing really I can do about it except enjoy today and look forward to tomorrow.
Was ESPN a slam dunk when the UFC went over? Were you already you're in, or did you have to go through a whole tryout, against other analysts or whatever? You were there for such a long time, but I don't know what the process was.
I wouldn't say it was a slam dunk. I think it was a meeting of two huge organizations, or two big players in whatever games, entertainment business, coming together, and I feel like I've done a lot for the sport on ESPN and really represented mixed martial arts. And I feel like I'm an ambassador for the sport. I think I have a respect amongst a lot of our fighters. We don't have to like each other, but I try to talk fairly on TV, and to whoever it is. I just try to be as honest as possible. With that said, I think the people I've worked with at ESPN recognize that, and they right away just hey, we got a great TV show, Unlocking Victory, for you to be a part of with Dominic Cruz. So that was definitely my in right away, and I believe that everything else has been working out, or things are still even being worked out just amongst everything else out there, and them getting to work with each other and putting on a show every week and everything. So my boss has been good to me at ESPN, and all the people I've been working with have great relationships out there. I think it's amazing what's unfolded over the years, and really proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. That's a relationship that paid off for you, because ESPN for a long time just, there was no MMA on the channel, and I would see you there with Chael, and you guys put in some work over the years, and then all of a sudden everything, boom, came to ESPN. So that was great that you were able to be a part of that.
Yeah, it really is. But I think a lot of us had a hunch that one day the worldwide leader of sports would embrace the organization, embrace the sport.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah. Tell me about Arnold Allen real quick before we let you go. He's your opponent on July 6th at UFC 239. 13-1 overall. He's got some subs. He's got some KOs. We've actually covered him a little bit when he was with Cage Warriors. He doesn't, same thing with you in the latter years. You didn't fight as often, but I look at his resume. He's only fought once in every year since 2014 to recently this year. This will be his second fight this year, but for the most part, he keeps kind of a slow pace himself. But have you had a chance to break him down?
Of course. This was a fight that was not my idea, but what was offered to me. And it was something I was going to try to do before the year ended last year, but I kind of had a little bit of a hiccup and injuries. So, I liked the opponent. I already had it in mind, and it was like a verbal yes if I was going to be healthy. And then I said, hey, listen, it looks like I'm not healthy, so it doesn't check out. And so there was never really like a signed deal for it. But that was the name that was out there. So as soon as I felt ready and things felt good, I put the word out, and the timing was there. As for him as a fighter, he's young, he's youthful, he's full of energy. He has a good straight left. He's in and out. He's elusive, and he has all that youthful stuff going for him, right? Athleticism. But I see myself as a wiser fighter, a more tactical technician, and I think it's a very good challenge for him and myself. And I like it. I've been gone for a while. I've been fighting top 5 killers. Just to name a few. I'm fighting Barbosa, Stevens, Eddie Alvarez's, Anthony Pettis's. These are the guys that I'm fighting. And I think, this is a young kid who has a lot of potential and talent, but he's not them. And I know I'm a more tactical. I'm a wiser and experienced fighter, and I got a lot of heart and courage, which I'm sure he does too. But I think, like I said, that experience is going to play, especially when we're in the pocket.
All right, man. Well, it's great to have you back in action. Your fight's happening in Vegas, so Goz and I will be there in person, and we look forward to International Fight Week. It's a great card. It's got a lot of killers on it, including yourself. So I guess we'll be seeing each other in a couple months. In the meantime, stay healthy. Hope you have a safe camp. And thanks for the time, as always, Gilbert. It was great catching up with you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, and shout out to all my friends and fans and family, Santa Ana, California, Bay Area as always, and congrats to you guys on being here on radio now. I like this. This is cool, and look forward to chit-chatting with you guys another time.
Thank you, sir. Take care. We'll see you.
All right.
Follow him on Twitter at Gilbert Melendez. We're going to take a quick break and come back and wrap up. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156.
God! Wow! Their mantles are covered with participation awards. They have boxes of gold stars that they purchase themselves. They are the legends and demand your respect. Here are George and Goes.
All right, Goes. That was a vicious KO back in 2015, I believe, November. Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey. Joe Rogan said it best. Oh, my God. Tell me about some of your favorites.
Since the beginning of time? Want me to start early and work my way?
If your list is 100, we don't have time. So, no, just give me a couple where you're just like, wow, I'll never forget. You know,
Shogun Rua and Rampage. Seeing someone go through the ropes like that.
Well, that was Vanderlei and Rampage.
Didn't they both do it?
Well, Shogun did beat Rampage.
Oh, you're right. Vanderlei's
when he put him through the ropes with like a final knee.
To see that, like, I mean, I really liked it. I really enjoyed both fighters, but to just see somebody so dominant and known for beating people up like that actually fall through the ropes like that, that was pretty insane. One that I was at live that I'll never forget is Rich Franklin and Nate Corey.
Yeah, he
Do you remember that?
Flattened.
Yeah.
He got flattened.
And Nate has a good sense of humor about it now. Not that he didn't before, but I'm sure it had to have stung. How about you?
I remember Frank Mir and Todd Duffy fought in San Diego, and I had a pretty good ticket. Anyway, for that last fight, somebody goes, "Hey, my buddy had to leave. Come up here." So I got really close, and you could just hear I'm putting it close to the mic, like boom, boom, like bones on flesh, like pop, pop, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, wow. I mean, these two guys were straight up throwing bombs at each other, and you could just hear it. And Duffy got a couple nice ones in on Mir, and then Mir finished them. But just to hear all that, boom, 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 when you're trying to keep track, you know, your head's bobbing and weaving as well as a fan, and you're watching, and then pop, 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 boom, and then someone went down, and it's one of those where I've described it when I went to Sacramento, and DJ took out Joseph Benavidez.
Oh,
that one was more about it was like a vacuum because everyone was going nuts for Joseph, and then the vacuum was just like I think it was everyone at the same time going, oh my God, and it was like the air had been sucked out of the arena in Sacramento, and Demetrius is doing what's that little celebration he does? It's not cartwheels, but he's just kind of like those little ninja
Dragon
jumps.
Ball Z.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really slick. And so all I see is Demetrius doing that, and just everybody like a look of concern from for Joseph. So there's just a couple of those. Those were my in-person experiences. A couple where I was like, what did I just see? Of course, McGregor taking out Aldo. It happened so quick. Like, you're just thinking, there's no way. All of that ended in 13 seconds. And then the Holly Holm over Ronda Rousey. I was with you hosting. Wait, were you with me on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hosting. There was one you weren't at. I think it may have been the LA one. We were hosting
the LA
at Club.
card,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We were hosting Club Madrid and in Sunset Station. And I just remember everyone, like, their jaw was down on the ground.
I liked Fedor and Arlovsky.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That one, just the environment.
The Russians were loud in Anaheim.
And I love Vanderlei Silva, but there was something to be said for when Hendo knocked him out.
Oh,
just
Pride.
the streak and all that. Like,
yeah.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we'll probably have a little bit more fun with that tomorrow. We bring Dan Tom into it as well. I'm sure he's got quite a few he'd like to share. However, sticking with the ladies theme, and I know I'm up against the clock, I just want to say real quick, and we'll touch on this tomorrow, Andrea Lee, UFC flyweight, her estranged husband, Donnie Aaron, is now jailed after 9 months on the run. So they finally caught him in Shreveport, Louisiana. Talk more about that when we come back tomorrow. Thank you to Gilbert Melendez and Danny Castillo and JL and Grit Goes. You guys did a great job. I took it to another level. I was fantastic. We're out of here. Go out and be a champion.